Welcome back to Talkin Shop with ShopSabre. I'm Brandon, back with Jesse and Garrett.
Hey, good morning.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
How's it going?
Not too bad.
It's
Yeah.
It's a Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah. Don't we do this every Tuesday?
It's Tuesday at 3:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
sitting on a
Right.
bucket in a janitor's closet. This is sweet.
You look good, though, on that bucket.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I got
Yeah.
my bucket back because Garrett stole it when I was gone.
I disinfected it, though.
Oh, that's
I
nice.
wiped it down. I got all the ginger germs off it.
Thank you. I appreciate you
Yep.
doing that.
Yep.
Garrett,
Yeah.
stop stealing my bucket.
All right.
So last week we talked a little bit about winning and losing, and winners always win even when they lose.
I really enjoyed that. It was a good episode.
Yeah, do you think Mahomes is feeling like a winner right now?
I think he is.
Yeah, he learned.
Yeah, he's got a lot of reasons to feel like a winner.
Yeah, he's got a Super Bowl
I think
ring.
500 million of them.
Yeah, that's enough reasons, right?
Right.
Winning. See? Find your win and your loss.
Yeah.
No, that was some pretty good games this weekend, though.
Very
Garrett, I'm
good.
sure you watched every second of every game.
I
Absolutely.
didn't see any of them.
Yeah, I know. He texted me at the end of the one game, and he's like, dude, was that a good game? I'm like, I saw 2 minutes.
Actually, I think I saw some of the Rams game.
I spent all day on the hockey rink with my son. We had practice 3 times. on
Yeah, it was
Sunday.
crazy. You
I
told
live
me
for
that.
sports. That's about all
I
my
know you
purpose
do.
is on this planet.
That's okay. I'm okay with that.
It's all right. You grow up someday.
Hey, we went to the Mall of America this weekend.
I'm kidding, Gary. Yeah, we did. We took
And-
our wives out to
Yep.
the mall.
Tried to get some cookies.
That was
We took an
interesting.
awesome picture with a cookie factory,
We did.
and then we didn't get any cookies.
Bree didn't give us much of a choice. Like, we walked over there, and she's like, no, get over there.
Yeah,
Take a picture.
you guys take a picture right now.
Yes, all right,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes, ma'am. Sorry, but we didn't even get any cookies then.
Well, no, we didn't.
That's really
Later,
big letdown.
but
We didn't even get cookies later on.
I did.
No?
You didn't. Yeah, I
No,
did. I
you
bought
went to the
3 of
cake
them.
place
No,
and
I
bought-
bought 3 cookies at the cake place. I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, prepackaged cookies,
Yeah, for my kids. I didn't eat them, but
and then you got cookie dough.
I still got cookies. Yeah, I did. I got
Yeah, raw
cookies.
cookie dough. That was good.
Yeah. Did you get any?
Nope.
No, you didn't.
Well, see, here's the deal. I was in line. And I was getting ready to get some cookies. I
here we
get this,
go.
Garrett. I go running over
Hey,
there.
you
Right?
need to put a disclaimer up. That
No, there's no
false
disclaimer.
information.
Let me
coming.
tell the story. So I tell him, let's go get some cake at this cake place. Right? It's a pretty awesome cake place. Little did we know,
It's really not that great, just
it's
by the way.
phenomenal. But little did we know, the mall was closing in 7 minutes. So we get there and everything's gone. Like
Pretty
everything.
much. Looks like locusts hit the
Yeah,
place.
there's nothing left. Like it's the cake that nobody wants to eat is what's left. And of course, the one piece of cake that my wife wants, they didn't have. So, Jesse and his wife go through, they get cake or whatever, and then we walk out of the cake place, and I immediately look across the mall and I see cookie dough.
Can we
And I
talk-
look at my clock and I'm like, yeah, I can get there before they close. So I start high stepping over there, right? Knees to chest. Get all the way over there.
He's not kidding.
Yeah, no, I got all the way
You're
over
like
there.
Barry Sanders.
Yeah, and then Barry Sanders comes through because as I'm walking up to line, here comes Jesse, just flying into line, jumps me.
Dude, I love cookies.
Jumps me, stands in front of me in line, goes through, riles the young lady up that's working there because
I wanted her as excited for cookie dough as I
mind you,
was.
she had 32 seconds till she got to go home, and then Jesse's like, "I'll take one of everything, please."
Everything.
And so then she has to go grab all the spoons she just washed, back out. You can tell at this point she's not happy. She starts scooping cookie dough, and then he changes his order on her. So now she's scooping the cookie dough and having to put it back. Instantly, look on her face is like, I'm spitting in the next guy's food. Like, that's what I'm doing. So then Jessie gets through the line, and she's like, what do you want? I'm like, nothing. I'm good. No, we're good. I'm good. I didn't want anything. So I didn't get cookie dough because I was afraid she was going to spit in it.
Someday I'll tell you the true story.
No, that's
We're
the
going to
story.
roll with that one for now.
That's
That's
the
a
true
good
story.
one. I like that one.
That was the true
I do.
story. That's what
I
really
do.
happened. But yeah,
It was a good time.
that was a good time.
Yeah.
And it was good because we're coming off of a pretty awesome January. We had a really good January over here.
We did.
Now kicking off February?
Did December stop?
I don't know. But it's February.
It is.
How is that possible?
I don't know, but I like it.
Hey, you know what? Who's sitting in the room with us right now?
Tell me,
We should introduce him.
Who is it?
who is he?
Lee Rhodehamel. Lee, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Early.
Yes.
It is early. Hey, welcome to Minnesota.
Thank you.
It's the best weather in the entire United States.
It's about same as Cleveland.
Do you want to
Yeah.
move yet?
I would just be changing locations. Same.
What happens
real
when you
thing.
leave or when
Lots
you
of
move?
water.
You change locations when you move. You ready to join Minnesota? Come on. over.
Yeah, I like Minnesota.
Good.
It's
Yeah.
good. It's
Yeah.
good to hear. Hey, who the heck is Lee Rhodehamel?
Who is that guy?
Who is he?
He's just a guy in a garage with a plasma,
I like it.
Stellar
creating a
mustache.
journey through metal.
There we go.
Stellar
That
mustache.
So-
seems poetic.
That was poetic. It was kind of poetic. I liked it. Lee and I have known each other for a few years now.
Yep.
And I can say Lee and I met actually because he was looking at a machine, and that's how we actually met. He called in one day, and we were talking about CNC machines, and yeah, we got to know each other just kind of back and forth. You know, this is kind of the fun of my job is I get to meet people, you know, and all of us, we get to meet people on the phone through discussion about CNC, and then we've stayed in touch, obviously, and to be honest, Lee does some of the most incredible stuff with plasma. If you haven't checked his stuff out, you'll want to check it out. At the end of the show, we'll talk a little bit about how you can check it out. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where like everything he's always sent me has always caught my attention and always like just blown my mind that like, yeah, our machines really are super awesome because look what he's doing with them. You know, like, man, I can't even do that stuff. So it's pretty cool to see that. But, you know, that's kind of, you know, Lee in my words. But, you know, Lee, I'm going to let you tell everybody about yourself, you know. Like I said, who the heck is Lee Rhodehamel? You know, realistically, tell us a little bit about you. You know, talk about your company, talk a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, you know, I've got a daughter. Live in Cleveland, Ohio, and come from a military family. My father was Army during Vietnam. My mom's a Desert Storm vet, on the ground boots person, 350th evac out of Akron when it was established. Coast Guard myself. My brother's Army, and my sister was married to Coast Guard. So
Wow. Whole family of badasses.
Yep.
So I was just going to say that. Like,
Yeah.
they are way cooler than me.
Yeah.
Way cooler
Did
than
you
me.
imagine wrestling matches at their house at Christmas
Yeah,
time? Like,
no.
Grade A badass.
who wins? Mom?
That's
what it sounds like.
Well, yeah.
Well, don't laugh. We call my mom Cambo.
Okay.
Her first name is Cam. So she's,
There you go.
Like Rambo?
Yeah, like Rambo.
Okay.
Cambo. Yes.
There you go.
Sleep with one eye open as a kid?
And he supported American Made. We got to love that, right? We got to love that.
Yep, that was one of the choices too, because you know American made is real important.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
You know, I support that. I'm American. Carry the flag, you know, that sort of thing. So we're good. You know, one of my hobbies is running my ShopSabre.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
A lot.
Yeah, that's
a lot.
awesome.
You know,
We can't tell.
you can't tell.
You can't tell at all.
Can't tell.
Yeah, well, you no, come on. Seriously, you can't tell.
No, not,
Okay.
not at all.
Yeah, and your company's what? Metal by Rhody, is that right?
Metal by
Is that-
Rhody,
Is
yep.
that what you
Yep.
do, right? Now, where'd that come up with? Where'd you come up with that name?
Well, when I started this adventure a little over 5 years ago, when I had the other machine, what a mistake that was.
We'll talk about that in a little bit, I think.
Yeah, we'll touch on that one a little bit. But
His legs shaking over here.
Yeah,
Like a dog about to get a treat.
yeah, we were sitting around at my full-time employment, and I was trying to figure out a name. And the guy that worked for me at the time, he says, "You know what? Metal by Rhody." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm selling myself, so." And I was like, "Yeah, I like it. Let's roll with that."
That's
so
super
we
cool.
rolled with it.
Yeah.
So I,
It's got a good ring to it.
It does. I was gonna say it's one of those names that like when you hear it, you're like, that's the right name.
Yeah.
Like you hear company names sometimes and you're like, yeah, you could have done better.
Right.
You know, but that one's one like, no, you can't do better than that. That's awesome. So that's why I wanted to know, how did you come up with that? You know, I guess you mentioned a little over 5 years ago when you got this thing going, but what made you decide that this is going to be a thing? You know, what made you do that?
well, that's an interesting story because what happened was one of the guys I work with went to a welding class, and he came back and he's like, "Oh, you can't believe the CNC plasma," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he knew I was getting ready to sell my machine shop off because I had crank grinder and different things like that, and I'm like looking to reinvest. So he says, "Hey, you ought to take a look at this. Look at this cool thing that they cut." I'm like, "Huh, that's kind of interesting." So I started looking into it. I purchased the wrong machine, for the record, a horribly wrong decision, horribly. And I struggled through it
Yep.
for a little over 16 months. Meanwhile, I was going to welding school, and they also had, for an associate's degree in welding, and they also had same machine there. And I should have known when they didn't work there either, and they just sat in a corner collecting dust, that I was in trouble.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I just kind of culminated into the next thing, and
Yeah.
we got rid of the problem, came into, by accident, I found ShopSabre.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you know? And I'm like, hey, okay, this is This is what I'm looking for. We went from there.
Hey, Garrett, that's when I hired you because he was finding us by accident. My marketing wasn't as good, so I needed a Garrett.
Well, not necessarily that. It's just that at the time, I happened to be on Etsy
Yeah.
looking, and I contacted. They had a Shelby Cobra on there, and I knew that I couldn't cut it on the other machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I contacted the gentleman, and he was more than forthright about saying ShopSabre. I said, ShopSabre? I said, what? And I went out there, and I searched, it come right up, and I'm like, wow, this thing is badass. I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll just give him a shout.
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah. Kind of talking a little bit more, about the Metal by Rhody. I definitely want to touch on that story a little bit more in a little bit here. But, I want to make sure that the listeners here know a little bit more about you. But where are you located?
I'm in a small little garage that's way cramped, but that is changing. I'm going to be located in Eaton Township in Cleveland area.
Awesome.
On a state route. And we just purchased 27 acres.
Yeah, see, I saw the pictures of that building, man. That new building is pretty incredible.
It is. It's awesome.
Yeah. We just put up 4,100 square feet with another 2,000 square foot awning. And I am looking so forward to moving into that because the building and the property that ShopSabre built.
Wow, that is some inspiring stuff.
That's what it was.
That's awesome. That's the stories that I want people to hear is because, really, when I met Lee, and still to this day, Lee right now operates in 2-car garage, is it?
Yep, 24 by 26.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've seen the pictures and we have videos out there of it. It's not like you have extra space just laying around. You use every square inch of that building that you have.
And then some.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have the garage door open and things are out in the driveway. Yeah.
So it's cool to see the growth. That for me, that's the excitement that comes with these machines is because you get to see the journey. You see somebody that really, when I met Lee, he was struggling. He was struggling with the fact that everything he tried to do didn't work. And, he's like, starting, there was times, I'm gonna be honest, Lee, when you and I talked, you could hear it in your voice, you were questioning if it was even possible anymore. They had you so beat up on this idea that it was you and not the machine, that I was like, nope, I promise you, Lee, this is not how the world really works.
Right.
There is a better side of this. So, it's kind of cool to see that, now, so listeners out there can kind of relate. How big is your company? How many people?
One.
There we go. One person, and now you're going to be moving into a 4,700. Is that what you said? 4,700 square foot?
4,100 square
4,100.
Yep.
That's pretty cool when you think about that. That you went from 2-car garage to 4,100 square feet with one person.
That's exciting.
I am hiring next week a marketing person, and I'm going to be bringing a couple of employees on.
There we go. That's awesome. Marketing
Stimulating the
101.
economy.
There we go. Yeah, and you have to, like you said, marketing. That's that. I love that the first thing he says is, "I'm going to be hiring a marketing person."
Yep.
Because the reality is, you have to market yourself.
Yep.
You have to market yourself. That's awesome. And when you get so busy, you don't have time anymore. So, obviously, you do a good job of marketing yourself already. But that's a big deal to be able to do that. Now,
Taking it to the next level.
yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah, you have to. If you're going to grow, you have to take it to the next level. You have to push the envelope every time you do anything, whether it's doing marketing or walking up to the machine or looking at the end route or looking at ProNest or looking at V-Carve, anything you do, you have to get up to it and go, how can I make it better?
Yeah, exactly. Quick question, I guess, since we've talked about the machine, we talked about your company specifically, what do you do?
What do? I dance.
You dance.
I dance a lot.
Yeah.
Dance around the machine. Do the happy dance. No,
You look nimble.
thanks. At my age, I appreciate that. But no, what I do is I fabricate metal. I create different engravings with the machine. Metal signs, metal art. I just create. I create the journey through metal. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking always to push the envelope to go to the next thing. What can you say? Oh, can the machine do that? And then you look at it and go, yeah, I think the machine can do that. The question is can I make the machine do that?
So I think there's some things you've done where we scratch our heads here and we're like, how did you do that?
He's not wrong. We've been sitting there like,
How?
wait a second, he did what with that?
Yeah.
When I had the conversation with Hypotherm,
Yep.
their production engineers and things like that were like, "There's no way you are cutting this with a Power Max." And I go,
Pretty good when you got the people building the cutter questioning the fact that how are you doing it, you know?
"Yeah, they
Teach us.
Real quick, you got a moment to teach us. Yeah.
well, they basically looked at it and said it's not possible." Then I pulled up a video where the Cleveland Rocks.
Yep.
And I cut the bridge in one continuous
Yep.
cut, and I stick a penny down on its end through the cuts.
Yep.
And they were like, "Well, you only did that once." I said, "Watch the video. We're going to do it 3 times in a row."
Yep.
And
No.
the little
exactly.
bees in the hand, and they're like, "We didn't think it was possible." And I'm like, "It is possible." It's
Hold
just
my beer.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And that's exactly it. Like, that in itself is the answer right there, is that you hear so many people that they want these things to be printers.
Yeah.
You know, you hear guys out there that think that they're going to walk up, push play, walk away, and the machine does its thing.
Right.
Like, if you want the machine to do that, it's going to do it, but it's not going to cut anywhere near the quality that you're going to get from somebody who's willing to stand there and go, okay, we cut it once. I can get better than that.
Right.
And you start tuning it, and you start, and I've seen it. You know, I've seen Lee do that. I've given Lee a project. You know, we've talked about things, and you're like, hey, I'm going to cut that. And then he goes, I'm going to cut it again. I'm going to cut it again. Give me a second. I'm going to cut it again. Like, it's because you know that you're improving every time. And it's like, yeah, the first one was probably acceptable for 70% of people out there, right? The second one now is the 80%ers. And the third one's the 90%ers. And you're like, hey, I'm looking for the 95. You know, like, that's what he's going for.
Right.
And it's like, it's pretty cool to see that stuff. And I think that's a message to the, you know, listeners out there, that just because, you know, there is a book setting, that doesn't mean the book setting is the right setting always. Like, the book setting gives you the optimal for the book. You know, it's going to give you somewhere to start. It's a guide. It's going to tell you, you know, how to get the best consumable life maybe. But it sometimes is worth giving up a little bit of consumable life for edge finish, you know, for a, you know, little bit less, you know, slag removal. You know, there's some stuff you can do to tweak that, correct?
Yep, there's a give and take on everything you do.
Yeah.
Everything. Everybody wants to go fast.
Yeah.
Fast. Oh, we've got to get fast. Well, fast is garbage.
Yeah.
Quality, not quantity.
Yep. And that's what I've always said is, you know, there's that situation that people talk about that, you know, there's 3 things in life. You can have something cheap, fast, or good, but you can't have all 3.
Price.
You got to choose which one you want, you know, and it's like, you can have 2 out of the 3. You let me know which ones you want, because you're not going to get the quality at a cheap price a lot of times. You're not going to get the you know, the speed, or the finish, excuse me, with high speed. You know, it's, you have to trade things off, and certain projects speed is okay because the edge finish isn't as critical, and you've demonstrated that. You have some projects that you fly through, and it's just they're cutting shapes. You're doing something that isn't as critical. But when you get into that Cleveland Power, or you get into, you know, the B, you know, you're doing something that's speed isn't going to be the answer in those situations.
I want to go fast.
Nope.
You know, and we'll post some. You know, Garrett, you're going to post some photos of some of the stuff after the show, right?
Yeah, could do that.
So that way we can show off some of the stuff he's done. We've referred to a few projects. We'll make sure we get those online. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. We'll make sure that we have some photos there of some of Lee's work so you can see what we're referring to. But, you know, now your decision to add the plasma obviously came from, you know, obviously selling out of your shop. Talk about the emotions, though. You know, as you get started, you know, before you even bought the first one. Okay, let's start there, because there's going to be a roller coaster of emotions as we go through this. But the emotions originally, as you got started, excited, scared, nervous. What were you thinking?
I haven't been in a situation where I've had machines and done different projects and things like that. The nervousness of actually doing the work wasn't that big deal, but the hurdles of learning software, learning the machine, and basically using a plasma that I had never done before.
Yep.
It was just like, oh, okay, I want to do this. Woke up one morning and said, oh, yeah, we're going to do this.
Yep.
Hence the conversation I had with my friend Andy.
Yeah.
So once I got into it, I was an emotional wreck. I kept going, you know, I really know I'm smarter than this. You know, what am I missing? You know, I purchased books, I read books, I did this, I did that. And then the emotion of knowing that I was going to be kicked off the phone in 8 minutes at tech support. Not with ShopSabre. I want to make sure I make that very clear. And just every time I turned around, I was just being told it's you. It's not our machine. And I went to training.
Yeah.
And then the emotion really changed, because I'm standing there. I brought a friend with me, so you know, two minds are always better than one.
Yeah.
So I brought my friend with me, and he had been through the journey with me also. He was real frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out to Phoenix. We're there 3 days. And we started looking at each other real fast. It was just like, okay, this isn't us. This is the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Reality sunk in.
Yeah, it really hit home. And
Yep.
we walked out of there, and I'm like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
I
Put
made
your
a
armor on.
huge mistake.
No, it was put your armor on, boys.
Yep.
We're going for a ride.
Yeah.
Because this is going to get real ugly real fast.
Yeah.
So then I kind of got angry because
Yeah.
I'm like, you know.
Rightfully so. I mean, you've been strung along for months now, being told it's you, and then at their training, you're like, wait a second, it's not me.
It's
You
not
can't,
me.
you can't do it either.
Right.
It's you.
You're right. Yeah, that was just like, it was kind of a relief though, even though
Yeah.
I was upset because
I
I'm
bet.
like, okay, now I know I can do this. So it was, all right, now what do we do to fix this?
Yep.
So that's when I kind of started looking around and I found you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. And I thought it was too good to be true.
Enter ShopSabre.
Yeah, I was just like, well, I suited up the armor, then I bought myself a saber
Yeah.
to swing around.
There we go. I like it. I like it.
So,
I remember getting a call from him, and he's like, and rightfully so. He's, got every guard up that he can possibly have at this
Right.
point. Like asking the questions, like he's going so in depth on all this stuff, and I'm like, man, this guy is really grilling me right now. So we're going through it or whatever, and I kept telling him, like, Lee, I promise you, it's gonna be okay. Like, here's references, here's people, here's machine pictures, here's like trying to give him everything I could. Hey, come to Minnesota, come check it out. Like we're talking about everything, and the one thing that I kind of that resonated with me is he's like, I gotta make a stop first. I gotta drop a machine off in a parking lot, And I'm like, oh God, I'd hate to be those guys, Like he was just ready to go and drop the thing right in the front of their door, and
Someone's having a bad day.
yeah, no, but like you said, he got himself a saber, and it was one of those things where ShopSabre really tries to be different in the world. We really do, and a lot of people think it's marketing. A lot of people think what I'm saying is just a guy saying what he wants to say, marketing something. But the reality is I'm just speaking the truth. Like,
Right.
we really are different than everybody else out there. And I'm not afraid to be different. Like, I've always said that. Like, different isn't always bad. Sometimes different is a good thing. And everybody else tries to mimic each other all the time. And for us, it's been one of those, like, I don't want to mimic you because what you're doing is not something I'm proud of. Like, I don't want to be you,
I want to be me.
Yeah, I want to be me, and it's worked for us. That we're not doing everything that everybody. Can I build a machine cheaper? Absolutely. I mean, you and I've talked about that. We've looked at the machine, and you're like, there's definitely places to save money on these things, But that's not who we are. We've never been that company. We've never cut that corner. I mean, just speak about that for a little bit here. In adding the machine. Obviously, let's start off with what really got you to take the plunge on the ShopSabre. What was it that made you say, you know what, we're gonna add that ShopSabre?
well, there's a couple different reasons
Yeah.
I bought the ShopSabre. First off, well, let's face it, it's badass.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's just, you look at the other machines and they're like just a bunch of folded like sheet metal, and you look at the ShopSabre, it's all welded construction. I mean, heavy duty stuff, and you're like, well, I watched the sheet metal machine I had move around and shake and everything, and I'm like, this thing is just not, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just not going anywhere. It's just, it's badass, period. I mean, what else are you going to say?
Yeah.
So,
My brother, just for the record, my brother is a big part of the company, obviously, and he designs a lot of our frames. My brother still to this day wants to put a snowplow on a truck and run into one of our machines just to prove how strong they are.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna build one and I'm gonna crash into it with a snowplow. I'm like, no. Like, let's just keep building machines.
all for it.
Yeah, he just wants to destroy one.
so
with
that's a pretty good
Yeah.
idea, because
Yeah.
let's be honest, you're going to hurt the snowplow.
them. that's
That's
exactly it.
yeah. I mean, even if you ran into that with, let's say, like a Humvee or something like that, you'd be putting a big dent in it.
Oh,
But
Kia 150 it all day.
yeah,
All day.
yeah,
The Kia 150 might get hurt.
All day long.
I think it would be a cool video to show really the durability of
Yeah.
it. It
No,
would be
and that's
cool.
exactly. I mean, Lee can speak to it. Is that our strength really, does start right from the ground up, right from
Absolutely.
the frame.
Yeah,
That's,
absolutely. I mean, it doesn't flex, it doesn't go anywhere, and it's a solid base. You got a good foundation. If you're going to build on something, you got to build on a good foundation. Otherwise, the house will crumble.
Yep.
So, the
Did you listen to our previous podcast?
I know, right? He's using words that were. I'm like, go on. You're saying it. Yeah.
Kind of blushing a little bit.
Run with it. Run with it.
Yeah.
No, that was the number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I talked to you. That's where it really changed. Because I was really in a very uneasy state. Didn't trust a whole lot of anybody having anything to say with me because I've been lied to.
Yep.
Lied to just horribly and taken advantage of.
Yep.
And most people don't like that.
Yep.
I don't know if everybody knows that or not, but I don't like it for sure. So Brandon worked with me over, what, Labor Day weekend, was it?
Labor Day weekend, yep.
Yeah, and I kept saying, spend time with your family. He's like, nope. I want to make sure that you're getting taken care of.
He hasn't changed.
What was that?
He hasn't changed.
Oh, he hasn't?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the big selling factor was when I said, well, I'm going to send over a drawing, a CAD file to you, and I'd like to see what, have you cut one and then send it back to me. And Brandon said, take any of our references, send them the file, ask them to cut it, and send it overnight to you and tell them to call me and give me the bill. And I thought to myself, randomly pick somebody and have them cut it and overnight it because you feel that confident your machine, no matter who I call, is going to perform to his expectations. I'm in. And that's where, and it just kept building from there.
Yeah.
I got the machine, and within, a week?
Yep.
I'm like, okay, Brandon, you didn't lie to me.
I am happy. That
Okay, this is I'm happy.
That was my favorite phone call I've ever received to this day. I get this call, and again, like I said, Lee was guards up. You could tell he's ready to throw hands. Like he is just upset. About the whole situation. He gets his ShopSabre, and it's like you could hear the weight of the world fall off his shoulders. He calls me up, and you could tell he's like smiling ear to ear. He's like, Brandon, everything you said is true. And I'm like, and it's so great to be able to be on the other line, like knowing that was the conversation we were going to have. Like I was that confident that I knew it was going to happen. It's just, we have to get you there. So it was cool to see it come full circle of, a guy who was literally ready to give up the dream because of what he's going through to the dream's alive. Like, let's run with this now. Now let's push the envelope.
What a fun feeling on both sides.
Yeah.
Right? To go that
yeah.
distance you
Absolutely.
went and to watch it come full circle.
Absolutely.
I bet you sank down in your chair like, oh, what a relief, right? And then stand up and fist pump like I won. But
Wait till you see him sink down in his
awesome
chair here in a
story.
second.
oh,
The other
boy.
the other part of this, we're going to put Brandon on the grill here.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
The other
I'm
part
all
of this
for
is
this.
somebody said you really ought to upgrade a couple things, and you really don't need a couple things.
Yeah.
And I was hell bent the leather that I needed that router.
Yep.
And Brandon kept saying, "You're never going to use it.
Yep.
You're never going to use it."
Yep. I'm one of those guys, I learn about my customers, and I think that's what sets ShopSabre apart is all of us, our sales team in general, learns about our customers' needs.
Yep.
And there's times when you're listening to a guy talk and you're like, this guy is never going to use this. Like
No.
his brain is going a million miles an hour the other direction. I want to sell him that option, but the reality is I'm just taking his money. And,
Right.
and,
But-
that's what I say to people. I'm a bad sales guy because I'm going to tell you not to spend your money.
Right. And the reality is that I've got the router attachment that has been on the machine one time. It's in
Yeah.
the toolbox. It looks brand new.
Yeah.
There it is. So,
Yeah.
I didn't listen.
Yeah.
And you tried to steer me in the right direction, and I just didn't listen.
Yeah.
And at any given moment, I could have added it
Yep.
later.
Yep.
So, and that, then I would have been like, oh, okay, I can add it.
Yep.
But I wouldn't have had that expense up front.
Yep.
So, for the record, Brandon was right. I was wrong. And
Hey,
that
Garrett, can you
that
save that
kills
clip?
me. Like,
Yeah, we'll save that.
Let's save that clip. I like that one. No,
You're handsome, I'm not.
yeah, exactly. No, and that's the truth though. Is it's not about being right or wrong. It's really about just trying to do right by the customer. And that's really what it comes down to, is it's more of that than it is, self-pride as much as it is making sure that when you're looking back on your purchase, you're proud of it from day one. And I've always said, I want customers to look back on their purchase and say, I would do it again. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing for me, is making sure that customers feel that and teaching that to our sales team now, because we have grown significantly since Lee, you and I originally started talking.
Oh yeah.
We've moved 3 times. We've expanded the building now. I've added staff. I mean, we're significantly bigger than where we were back then. But it's all been that growth is something that I've always said is like, you can't let growth change you. And with us, that growth is going to change you to some extent always, but it's trying to maintain that same culture, that same feeling, that same expectations. Like, we hold everybody to the same standards.
What's kind of neat about that is you've gotten to know pretty much the sales team, right? Since
absolutely.
You've owned your
Absolutely,
ShopSabre.
yeah.
And that's kind of the question I have. I mean, getting to know our team, would you say that we're all, pretty much the same way, as far as how we treat the customer?
Yeah. Every time I talk to the sales team, different ones in there, they're always driven to doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. Just like Brandon was driven to try to tell me to do the right thing, and I didn't listen. Mm-hmm. And every time I listen to them, and they'll just like, well, they want a downdraft table, they need a water table, and they're trying to get the right fit. Mm-hmm. So they'll call, and then they'll have them call me, and I'll try to explain to them, mm-hmm. really, a downdraft table doesn't do as well for you as a water table given the situation.
Correct.
Right.
So that was one example mm-hmm. of the sales team actually trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And genuinely, at the end of the day, ShopSabre's sales team and ShopSabre as a company always tries to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The reason I ask is because, like, me and Brandon talk about it all the time, right? But nobody ever gets to see it. And you've been one of the fortunate ones where you've gotten to interact with quite a few of us. So kind of wanted you to get a chance to speak on that the culture, like Brandon speaks about, is the way it is.
And I do like the comment about, we try to do the right thing. And I like the word try, because it's like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you we are a perfect company, right?
Right.
We make mistakes. Things do happen. Like, we're human, and I always tell everybody, like, if you can't step back and realize we are still humans, then, I feel bad for you, because we live in a world where it's like we've turned everybody into robots.
Yeah.
We believe that there's nobody on the other line. There's nobody behind that email.
Thank you.
And so, like, you get these guys that one thing goes wrong and they just light off, right? They don't give you the chance to be human, And it's like, slow down. Like, I will always do what I can within reason to be right by the customer. Right. I'm going to do what I can to right you. Like, I'm not ever going to leave somebody high and dry, But the reality is, like, you get what you give off. And so, you can't come at people and treat people poorly and then expect them to treat you well, know? And I have that same mentality back to my customers. I have to treat them well, or why will they treat me well in the future? It's one of those things where, they're not going to tell their friends to come talk to me. They're not going to tell their friends about their machine. They're going to do everything they can to hide that machine, even if it's making them lots of money.
Right.
If they're upset at you, they're not going to send people your way. And so for me, I've always tried to, it's that golden rule, right?
Yeah.
Treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's just how I am. Like, it's who I am as a person. And that, I'm going to be honest with you, that goes both ways.
Right.
It's the golden rule,
Right,
so it's like, I treat you the way you treat me, and I will also, expect to be treated the way I treat you. So it's like, as long as we both feel the same way, we're gonna have a really good relationship. That doesn't mean we're always gonna see eye to eye. That maybe there's something that does happen, and you're like, hey, you know what? I think it should be done this way, and I'm gonna say, well, this is what we're gonna do. Let's try to work through it. And maybe it's not the same answer, but by the end, I promise you, ShopSabre's going to do whatever they can to make sure that both of us are happy. Like, I'm not going to leave you high and dry. And obviously, Lee, you've seen that. I mean, let's be honest. You've had parts fail on a machine in 5 years, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's inevitable.
The reality is that when there was a parts failure or there was problems with the machine, how did ShopSabre conduct themselves?
Yeah.
They conducted themselves, and let's get you back up and running.
Correct.
What's our number one priority? Get you back up and running. Why? Because if your machine's not running, you're not making money, you're not growing, and you're not buying another machine.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
nailed it.
It's, hey, look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to buy a bigger machine.
Yeah.
So that's on my goal.
Garrett, get the paperwork started on that.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. And that's exactly it, it comes down to, like, I think sometimes people forget that. Like, they're so mad because their machine's down that they think that I'm over here like celebrating.
Yeah.
Like, yay, your machine's broke. Like, no, that's not good for me.
They plotted this.
Yeah, like I promise you, I'm just as mad as you are because trust me, I don't want to deal with these phone calls either. Like, they're not fun.
That is completely taken out of context.
No.
Well, you don't even want to deal with. Then I get online.
Yeah.
And I'm on one of the plasma sites, and I go, ShopSabre did this, ShopSabre did that. I called in, and they didn't send me the part like in 5 minutes, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I start complaining, and it's that old thing with the pyramid.
Yep.
One person tells two people tell four people, four people tell eight.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you got this big pyramid of negativity.
Yeah.
And the reality was
Pyramid
that
poop.
Pyramid poop.
yeah, that you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
It's just,
and that's exactly that's why I hate the internet and I love the internet. I love the internet because like you can share so much so quickly, and that's great because like as an example, learning about the ShopSabre without the internet that would have been exponentially harder. But you can gain so much traction that way. But also in the world that we live in, you rarely see people who are happy taking the time to go to the internet to start that pyramid, right?
Right.
They don't start that pyramid. They don't go out there to say that. You catch the one guy, so you sell 1,600 machines in a year, right? And you catch the one guy who had a bad day. Like that's the guy who starts the pyramid, right? And these guys who go out there and stir the pot, it's like, why have I never heard from this guy? He's never called me personally. He's never taken the time to give me the chance to resolve the problem. That's the stuff. And like you said, things do happen. Machines do have problems. I mean, I can't promise you that the supplier of the part did his job every time, right? That's what I think people forget is that I build a machine, right? I build majority of the machine here. I mean, you've seen it, Lee. You've walked the building.
Yeah.
We build the frames. We weld. We paint. We do our own wiring. We do all of that here. But I can't build the motor. The motor itself comes from a supplier. Or I can't build the bearing itself. It comes from a supplier. The hypertherm. I don't build the hypertherm. So there is certain items that could have a failure on their end that is completely out of my control.
Right.
And sometimes people forget that. It's like, yeah, you know what? Yes, your machine did have an issue, but I promise you, it's not because like my guy was like, hey, you know what? Let's sabotage this one.
We have a secret button on the computer. Watch, hey, we're gonna get John today.
Yeah, it's not fun for anybody. We want to make sure everybody gets back up and running. So when that part does go down, I will do everything I can as quickly as I can to get you back up and running. And like you said, unfortunately, they haven't developed that teleporting machine yet.
Right.
So I can't stick a part in it and send it to you in a few seconds.
I thought you were working on that Sunday.
I am working on that Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. That's my Sunday project.
Okay.
Yep. It's hockey on Saturdays, teleporting machine on Sunday.
Flux capacitor is what you're waiting for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Flux capacitor is what we're waiting for?
Yeah, flux capacitor.
There we
I need
go.
my flux capacitor to come in. Exactly. You got it, Doc.
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon didn't have one. It was weird. I Amazoned it.
I'm surprised Amy didn't
Time
find
machine.
one.
Amy would find it.
Yeah, if
we
it's
both know.
if it's on Amazon, it's
Amy
at
will
your
find
house.
it. Yeah, it's at my house. If it's on Amazon, we own it. Because I'm telling you, that's my wife. She's invested in Amazon.
I love it.
I think she took invest in Amazon completely different than I did. When people
You
said
think so?
when people said buy Amazon, I think they were relatively meaning buy the stock. My wife took it literally. She's gonna buy Amazon. Yeah, she's literally gonna buy Amazon one package at a time. I get this text message, right? Or I text my wife. I'm like, there is 6 packages at the house right now. Then I see the little 3 dots, and I'm like, okay, what's she gonna say back to me? Well, there was supposed to be 8. What? What?
I'm waiting for the day that Amy gets into Amazon and goes to search for something, and it just says, "Ma'am, you've bought everything there is
you've bought
to
it
buy.
all. You've reached the end of the internet.
You already have this."
You've reached the end of Amazon. You own it all.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah, come on now. But no, exactly. So, kind of jumping back on, when you added your CNC, I want to ask a few things here, I guess, and maybe some of these apply, some of these don't apply, but, what did you want to gain? When you were adding your CNC, what were you hoping to gain?
That's actually a pretty good question because I was trying something new.
Mm-hmm.
And everything I had done was manual. So even my crank grinder, even though it was a production crank grinder, we got, it was all manual, and I had to go to CNC with something.
Yeah.
So it just, instead of me standing there, which I still have to do with certain things because of tip ups and whatnot.
Yep.
I physically didn't want to stand there. I wanted to be able to have that precision. I wanted to be able to, sit down, do the drawing, put it in there, and make it over and over and over repetitively.
Yeah.
And consistently.
Yeah. So kind of piggybacking off that question, what were you hoping to lose then?
Well, I wasn't hoping to lose anything.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I don't like to lose.
Yeah.
So I never hope to lose.
Yeah.
Even my mistakes. My mistakes are a way of not doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to change what I'm doing.
Winning when you're losing, you mean?
Right.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Sounds like you got rid of the one thing you wanted to lose.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
exactly.
well,
The paperweight, right?
I did get rid of the big paperweight.
Yeah. Now, kind of jumping ahead here. I guess we've talked a little bit about your purchase and whatnot, but let's talk a little bit about that purchase. What model do you own?
I have the Sidekick 10.
Okay. So
And-
5x10.
Yep, 5x10.
That's awesome. And then what options specifically are on your machine?
Well, currently I have the router that I've never used. I have the Hypotherm 85
Okay.
Power Max. I have the Air Scribe,
Okay.
and I have now the Super Pen.
Yep. And you have the water table, correct?
Yep, I have the water table. Yep.
Water table, yep. And let's talk a little bit about, you said Super Pen. Let's talk a little bit about it because you just recently did some videos on that. And, we're pretty proud of this. This is a newer feature that we've come out with recently. It's pretty exciting for us. So talk to the listeners a little bit about the Super Pen.
I have the largest plotter in Cleveland, Ohio. I love it because the one thing I love about it is in the past I would go ahead and I'd like, let's say I was doing a transmission mount, and that's what I did the video on is a Hellcat HP90 auto trans. So what I would do is I would go ahead and bring it into the drawing, draw it all up, get everything in scale, and then I'd go ahead and cut it in thin gauge metal. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is just costing me a small fortune. So I called Hypotherm and I called En Route and I said, hey, how can I print this off 1-to-1? Well, we really can't do that, that sort of thing, unless I got a printer or a big plotter. So I'm like, all right. So then I see this router Bob do the Super Pen, and I'm like, oh, hell no. Really? I was like, I see the usefulness of this. I'm like, okay. So I give you guys a call and I say, hey, I need one of these.
Yeah.
Send me one of these. Lo and behold, bunch
Literally
shows
how
up.
it went.
Yep.
Was that?
That's literally how it went too.
Yeah, it literally. That's how it went.
How it went, yeah.
Popped it on the machine. Took me all of 15 minutes maybe. Got it on there. Started playing around with it, and I started drawing different things on paper. I drew some stuff on steel, then wiped it off with some lacquer thinner, and I could physically set the piece down and go, oh, I need to move that bolt hole just like 1/8 of an inch. And I basically wiped it off, went back in, fixed the one bolt hole, highlighted it, popped it out, inputted it, draw. I'm like, sweet, I'm on it.
Yeah.
So, I just saved myself a bunch of metal, and the cost of metal today.
Exactly. That's exactly why it's so exciting for us is that, like, with the cost of things today, 10 years ago, it probably wasn't, it still cost money, but it wasn't as, like, painful when you had to cut two parts because you were test fitting something.
Right.
But as the world gets more expensive, it's like every time you cut a second part, you're like, oh, that cost me more money. That's less profits.
Cry
That's
low.
So it's one of those deals like this allows you to lay things out, whether it's cardboard you're going to draw it on, whether it's the steel itself, whether, whatever it is, there's 5 variations of different attachments that you can write on just about any surface that you come up with.
Sure.
And, it gives you the ability to literally turn your CNC plasma table or CNC router into a plotter. And it allows you to utilize this as a 2-in-1 tool. And now, again, in your shop, you have this giant plotter that took up no more space than what you were already taking up because it's also your plasma table.
Yep, and it was, I just, as soon as I saw it, I'm like,
Yep.
oh yeah, I got to have this. And then, I'm into it about, another 20 minutes, and hey, look at this. I don't know, they start popping in this and popping in that. Next thing you know, I'm drawing a sugar skull.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, you know what? Let's add some color to that.
Yeah.
And now I have like 500 different colors of Sharpies that I ordered from Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'm one of the girls. I don't know.
Maybe.
But, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I ordered a ton of Sharpies.
Yeah.
It was pretty obscene. Amazon guy's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, What do you mean? These are all Sharpies. Yeah, we had to have a cart to bring them in, and I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, you'll see. Don't
That's
worry.
awesome. That's awesome.
Where do you find 5,000 bulk Sharpies? You know,
Well,
Amazon.com.
Amazon, I guess.
Yeah, Amazon.
But yeah, so I guess let's I know we're getting kind of towards the end of the episode here. I want to make sure that we get a few more questions out here though. Is I want you to tell the listeners, tell them a little bit about or tell them what's your number one piece of advice for the guy who's listening right now that's considering buying a CNC.
If you're considering buying a CNC, and I'm going to throw my sales pitch in. ShopSabre all the way, period, all the way, because they support the price is right. The machine is right. They support it afterwards. The relationship starts after the sale of the machine. Mm-hmm. I've really built a relationship after I got the machine.
Yeah.
So the other thing I would say is when you order your machine, software.
Yep.
Ask for the software right away.
Yep. It's actually standard now. Company policy. When you order a machine, When you order a machine, you don't even have to ask anymore. We send it out right away. That's the first thing we do.
Outstanding.
Yep.
Okay, well, get on that software.
Yeah.
Get on that software. There's a lot of tutorials out there.
Yep.
Sabre Nation, I'm sure we're going to be building on that.
Yep.
And YouTube's got a lot of stuff out there. It's important to learn the software because that's the key to success with the machine. The machine will do what you ask it to do, but you have to be able to tell it what to do.
The good news is the machine does what you tell it to. The bad news is the machine does what you tell it to.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
so if you tell it wrong, it's going to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Is learning the software scary?
It can be. I mean, it can be overwhelming because especially when you have no background in it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a little overwhelming there. I mean, for me, and then I switched up to how many different softwares now.
Yeah.
And every time you get a new one, you're kind of like,
Yep.
And
But let me ask this question. As a guy that doesn't know anything about software, right? If you're sitting there and you're scared right now, you're not going to buy a purchase, you're not making the purchase because you're scared of the software. Does ShopSabre give you the support you need to get through that hump?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I never once was worried about that.
Yep.
If I called up and I talked to one of the tech support guys,
Yep.
it didn't matter whether it was a 5-minute or a 3-hour ordeal. It was whatever we need to do to get you in the right direction so the machine is running.
That's awesome.
And it never was the case. Just like the engraving.
Yep.
I called up and we were like, "Wow, we've never done that." But let me rephrase. They do engraving, but they never did engraving like I was doing.
Yep.
So
not to the level that you did. I mean, let's be honest. You've pushed the envelope on that. You've done things that nobody. I've had other plasma companies tell people that it can't be done, and then we've done it. So it's literally awesome to see it happen because we watch what Lee does, and Lee is capable of doing things that his brain works that way. Is tell me I can't, and I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is also ShopSabre's the same way because Brandon was like, well, yeah, I'll give you the resources to do it. Mm-hmm. And we sat down, and it was a collaborated effort. Tech support was on the phone hours and hours and hours. We were making changes to the machine. We're doing this, doing that.
Yep.
And we worked together, and here we are.
Yep.
A reality happened.
Yep.
So now we're blowing everything else out of the water
Yep.
at
And it's rewarding
stroke
for
of
the
the
tech guys too. I mean, it gives the tech guys something, a reward for the hard work on that. They get to see some of this cool stuff. So, in the end, why did you ultimately choose ShopSabre? Let's start. It's kind of finish with that. In the end, what was the ultimate decision to choose ShopSabre?
The research showed me, and believe me, after the other machine, I put 5 people on it, and we dug to try to find something negative and something wrong with the machine, and we just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I asked you, Brandon, straight up. I was like, I can't find anything negative, and you were like, no, you won't, because why? I said, why? And he's like, because we take care of our problems.
Yeah.
We take care of our customers.
Yep. I've always said that. Like, I'm not perfect, but I'll promise you one thing. Like, I learn from my mistakes.
Sure.
And that's why when you were like, tell me something that fails on these machines, then if I have to tell you something, I'm not doing my job. Like, at the end of the day, like, if something's failing regularly, I change it. I fix it. I make it go away permanently.
Right.
I don't Band-Aid problems. It's just not the way we do business here. But that's where our motto, buy your second machine the first time, comes from. Lee, it may have come from you. It may have actually come from you.
I
You
don't
know,
know about
it may
that.
have been that. You know, perhaps you were the reason why I came up with that. No, I mean, but seriously, it's that type of situation that leads to that. Is that I watch customers. Unfortunately, Lee's story is not unusual.
Right.
I see it more times than people would probably realize, of people calling me up, upset, frustrated that the machine that they were sold was sold to them, not actually built for them. It was just, this is what you need because this is what I have,
Yeah.
not this is what you need because this is what you need.
This was on the shelf.
Yeah, and that's the difference in us, is that we do have a lead time. There's a reason why we have a lead time. We're building them to order. We're building them to your needs, but also the demand is there. Machines in stock in today's day and age, you should be leery of. There's no reason somebody should have something in stock, because the demand for product out there is unrealistic. I mean, it's just crazy. We're having record months every year, or every month, and every year. We're having record months every month, and we had record year last year.
Yep.
I couldn't imagine having something in stock.
No.
I mean, you've seen how big my facility is. It's not like I'm lacking the people and the resources to build these machines,
Right.
and I can't keep up.
Yep.
So I can't imagine anybody having something in stock at this point. So that's something you got to think about. But as we wrap this thing up here, Jesse, we have to do our normal thing. I think it's kind of a ritual, don't you think?
I think we have to.
Yeah, it's called rapid fire, Lee. We do rapid fire.
Oh, no.
We're gonna throw questions at you here, just a handful of them, and we want you to throw out your answers to us. It's kind of rapid fire. We're gonna try to keep it moving. It's kind of fun, meant to kind of get to know you a little bit in a short amount of time.
This could be funny. We didn't really prepare for this, but
I prepared for it.
Oh, good.
I'm always prepared.
Yeah, I did too. I just
Yeah.
thought you didn't. I didn't
I'm
see
always
notes on
prepared.
your sheet over
For the
there.
record, I have not.
Yeah, good.
Perfect. That's
the
how we
point.
want it.
That's how
Yeah.
I want it. Exactly. Jesse, you want to kick this thing off, or you want me to?
Uh-oh.
Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Yeah, you know why you chose Pepsi, right?
What's that?
Blue.
Blue.
Favorite food?
I just like food.
I like it. I like the answer. Yes is the answer to favorite food. Yes, I like it all.
Favorite dessert?
Don't eat sweets.
What?
Whoa. Did not see that one coming.
That's a wrap. We're gonna
That's
go
right.
ahead
No,
and-
we're done on that one. No. Favorite television show?
Don't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah, doesn't surprise. I knew that answer was coming.
Favorite place to vacation?
In front of my ShopSabre.
There we go. What's your favorite car?
Camaro.
Camaro. Specific year?
67.
67 Camaro. I love it.
What's your favorite movie?
Black Hawk Down.
I like it. Favorite non-pornographic website?
There is one?
ShopSabre.com is the
Oh,
answer.
yeah, ShopSabre.com. Yeah.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
Blue or red?
Blue.
Favorite book?
What?
I'm running out of stuff.
Yeah, I say I can tell you.
Favorite book?
Actually, he's a reader.
Anything that's educational.
Anything educational? ShopSabre's manual.
Yep. ShopSabre.com.
ShopSabre.com. You know what? I think on that one we're gonna wrap it up. That was what I have.
That's what I got too.
Yeah, it was fun. No, I think one thing I want to close with is I want to make sure the listeners know that some exciting stuff we're working on right now is Lee is going to be joining our team. He's not leaving what he does. He's going to be still doing his thing. He's still going to be working in his shop. He's still doing his own thing. For those who don't know, actually, Lee builds badass race motors and big motors for Hellcats. And you know what? He builds some cool stuff, but he also has his ShopSabre and his own personal stuff, and that's not going away. But we have asked Lee to join us. We're going to be really focusing in 22 on creating more educational content, and that is for all those ShopSabre users. We have what's called Sabre Nation University. Lee has already began building videos for that Sabre Nation, which is going to be tips, tricks, skillful things, things that you should know as you're working through your plasma table. So we're excited to have him on board for that. But now this week we're kicking off our first ever YouTube series where we're going to be shooting some videos showcasing some of the features and the benefits and some of the stuff for the sales end of it. The stuff where maybe you don't own a machine yet and you want to learn more. And if you go to our website, you'll notice we have a lot of Router Bob, right? Router Bob does a lot of stuff, and Router Bob is Router Bob for a reason. He does routers.
Right.
He's done the plasma over the years, but we wanted to bring somebody in who literally his focus is plasma, and we're really excited. Lee's going to join our team here. Lee, we're really proud to have you on the team, and
Thank you.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this. I mean, I think Lee brings a whole dynamic, set of skills that are going to allow us to showcase who we are a lot better. Because at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know. And if we don't showcase it better, and I feel like that's where we've lacked over the years. I mean, we have lacked on showcasing how good we are also in plasma, and we're really going to focus on that this year. Lee, for all those listening, where can the listeners check out your work?
metalbyrhody.com. You can get a hold of me also on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
So there you go. You can check out Metal by Rhody if you want to see some of the stuff that he's done. Garrett, you're going to post some stuff on the Facebook page?
Facebook, yep.
Yeah, perfect. And then, of course, if you need any more information on our product, Garrett, where do they go?
ShopSabre.com.
There it is. Well, we've had a lot of fun today. Honestly, Lee, I knew that there was going to be no lacking of conversation today. And you and I, when we start talking, it's like we don't stop sometimes. So
Right.
It's a lot of fun. I know, Garrett, you and Lee work a lot together on a lot of projects.
Yeah, we gotta get back to work here.
You got to get back to work?
Yeah.
You never have to get back to work. I've never heard Garrett say that ever in the history of his life.
Facebooking hard today.
Yeah, he's like, I got to Facebook hard today, guys. Yep, I'm going to make 3 posts. Is that what it is, Garrett?
I just have to pee.
My teeth are floating as well.
All right, well, with that, I'm Brandon.
I'm Jesse.
Thanks for talking shop with ShopSabre.